In this Unity tutorial, I'm going to show you for complete beginners how to make the game Connect 4. And after I win in this, I will go over some information about this course. I'm going to be teaching you how to use the programs Unity, Visual Studios, and Blender, at least at a basic level. So Unity is used for game development. It's going to be your game engine. A bunch of games actually use Unity. If you look up like Unity games, you'd be surprised how many actually use it. A bunch you've probably heard of. And it's completely free unless you make a lot of money. And even like the free version versus the paid version is very similar. The paid version only has like a few features. Visual Studios is going to be included with Unity. It's a Microsoft coding platform. We're going to be spending most of our time in here, probably over half. And Blender is going to be the 3D modeling software. We're going to be modeling all the pieces. You can also use Blender for a bunch of like animation things. You can create really cool scenes in it, like 3D images or like stock images, but for our purposes we're just going to be using it to model. But there's a lot of cool stuff you can do in Blender. So what I recommend for this course is that you have some coding experience. We're going to be using the programming language C#. You don't actually have to know C#. I just recommend that you know another language because in my opinion, if you know one, you can at least understand at a basic level the other ones. You might not be able to code it directly, but you can at least like read in other languages and get a rough idea of what's going on, at least if it's a standard programming language. If you do not have coding experience, you can still follow along. I'm going to be explaining stuff primarily to people that have coding experience, just not particularly in Unity or in C#. But you can still follow along, like if you don't know what variables are, if you don't know what if statements are, for loops, stuff like that. You can still follow, but it might be a bit harder for you. If you want to understand exactly what I'm saying, you could probably go watch a course on how to code, specifically in C#. That'll be really helpful, or a Unity one even better. But I'm going to at least try my best to explain it, and for you non-coders, I'll try to explain it the best I can without taking too much of like coders experiences time. And then what you'll get from this, so I'm going to teach you basics of Unity, Blender, and C#, but primarily coding in C# using Unity, or C# that's useful for Unity. About half the stuff they use in C# is that we're going to be using is specifically to Unity. There's a huge library that you have to know. Unity has a really big library. For our purposes, we're not going to be using all of it. Like I probably only use 10% in all of it in all my experience, and we're only going to be using like 5 to 10 different things from Unity built into C#. But I just wanted to give you like a rough idea of what it is. And the last thing, we're going to obviously create the Connect 4 game. You can use that knowledge to make another game. I don't know if this is your first tutorial. I don't know if you have enough knowledge to necessarily make your own game from this, because I'm not going to be going super in depth. But if you follow along completely and you think you can make another one, that's awesome. You can also watch other tutorials, but this was mainly designed to show people that have some coding experience how to make their own game, that just to see if they like it, because there's a lot of work that you have to put into it, which you'll probably see. Like we're going to be doing some basic thing that's Connect 4, which isn't super complicated, and it's going to be a lot more work than you'd expect putting into it. So if you want to go straight into like making this huge game, you're going to learn quickly that it's a lot more dedication. Now I'm not discouraging you from making it, but I feel like you should at least have a realistic view of how much work is put into making games. And with that being said, we're going to go on to downloading Unity and Blender. If you already have both these installed, you can just skip this video and just go on to the next video. But yeah, if you don't, we're going to go do that now. So you're going to want to type in Unity, search. We're going to go down to this one, unity.com. So once we're here, we're going to want to go to Get Started. And now we select the package that it comes with. So here's all the paid versions. If you're just a individual and you're not really wanting to start a company, if you're a student, you can go through this process, but I'm just going to go through the personal process. And the only restriction is you can't make over $100,000 on your game in the last 12 months, which is, I feel, pretty reasonable. And if you're making over 100,000, I feel like you should give back to the engine that made it possible. So get started. Here, even though it says first time users, we're going to go through this place because this is just like a guided tour of how to use Unity, but I'm going to be doing most of that explaining. So we're just going to go through returning users, terms of service. You can read over those. And then we're going to go to download Unity Hub. And I guess make sure you have all these requirements. They're not too restrictive, like Windows 7 and up, Mac 10.12, and then a graphics card with this. Most modern computers will have this, so you should be fine, unless you have an older computer, like older than 5 or 10 years. And so now it's getting set up, and then I'll just come back when that finishes downloading. So after it finishes downloading, you're going to want to click on it, and this screen will pop up. You're going to want to go to I agree, choose your destination of where you want it to be in. The default one's fine unless you want to change it. This part's pretty quick. Okay, so after it does it, we're going to make sure that's checked and run the Unity Hub. Okay, so once this is opened, we're going to want to go to installs, and we're going to install the latest version. So I already have it installed, but I'm just going to go through the process again. So in your case, it would have this one available. If this is a later video, this might be a different version for you, but just click where it says official release, just click the one that's under it. For the most part, the Unity versions haven't really changed for the past 5 years. At least for what we're going to be doing, it's going to be basically the same, and probably for the next few years, the UI and stuff is all going to be very similar. So just click that version. You're going to want to click next, and you can have these checked if you want to. I think by default they're checked. So right now you have these 3 things checked. If you want to do mobile development, you can have both. You can have these on, but I'm not going to be doing that. So you can untick them because it requires a lot of download time and storage space. But I mean, if you want to do it, you can have this checked, but just make sure this one is. And we're going to click done. And now it's going to start to download. And it takes a while. It can take like 20 minutes to download. So after that finishes downloading, and it looks like one of these things, where there's no blue bar across, we're going to start downloading Blender. So once Unity finishes installing, or at least that version of Unity, we're going to want to go to Blender, and we're going to go down to blender.org, click the download one, it's just quicker to download it, and then we're going to click this top one. If you have like a Mac or Linux, you're going to have to go through this installation process, but it should be very similar. So we click it, and then at the bottom here, it will show a download thing. So after Blender finishes downloading, you're going to want to click that link, and this is going to pop up. We're just going to click next. So now this pops up. Just agree to the license agreement. Okay, now we just choose where we want Blender to install. I'm just going to leave it as the default one. It's perfectly fine. Now after that finishes, you're just going to want to click install. And while this does its thing, I'm going to say that is it for this video. The only thing that's going to happen is Blender's going to install off camera, and I'll see you in the next video.